Welcome. As mentioned, Sheriff Mike Chitwood is in studio to join me for this opening hour of the Burning It program, and I adjusted my eyes for the vision because he came in his bright, would you call that, lime or yellow or what?
A combination of lime and yellow mixed together. That way I can't not get run over when I'm out biking.
I'm telling you.
You can see me from a mile away.
Hey,
you got to go easy. This is a brown and brown shirt here from a 5K run.
Yeah.
From,
well done. Well done.
So, of course, that's what I used to run.
Yeah, I know. Hey, didn't they have a benefit run? Craig Capri was telling me that there was going to be a benefit run for the deceased deputy.
They had a bike ride last Sunday down in Edgewater on the trail there.
Yeah.
They had about 80 people, I think, participated. I wasn't there. My daughter was in for her 30th birthday, so we were doing dad and daughter stuff.
And Deputy Schofield died training for something that's going to happen next month, right?
Correct. No, in September. In September, it's the 9/11 Memorial Bike Ride.
Yeah.
And Frank, I don't know how many years he has ridden in that, but it's been a lot of years, and he's raised a lot of money, tens of thousands of dollars, for the fund that helps out firefighters and police officers and Port Authority officers who were killed on 9/11. So I raised money to get in. Deputy Chief Tim Morgan got in, so we're going to ride in Frank's place as part of his memory. So it's going to be a crowded ride, and Craig's been doing it for years. Craig has a good boss. Had a good boss. See, I wasn't allowed to do that stuff when I was the police chief in Daytona.
Oh, really?
But I let Craig participate in all that. So now that I'm my own boss, I said, well, you know what? I'll ride in this ride in Frank's memory. So
good. Well, lots of stuff to talk about. First, fireworks. It was in the headlines of the paper. Mike, straighten me out on this. Is the stuff illegal or not?
Fireworks are illegal. However, if you drive down the road and see these tents pitched all over the place and cars backed up and people lining up buying fireworks, it's a law that's unenforceable. It's unenforceable. And it's not just in Volusia County. There was a big article yesterday in the Washington Post that talked nationwide about the effects on the environment, the effects on PTSD.
How many people get hurt?
The effect on animals, people who blow their hands off. They did a whole big story on it. And it's, I've been doing this for 32 years. There isn't a darn thing we can do. You're chasing your tail around. You have, for example, maybe there's 50 deputies working tomorrow, 4th of July. There's more than that, but whatever.
Yeah.
Where are you going to chase the fireworks complaints? And what do you do in the rural areas where somebody's on a gated property and they're on their property shooting off fireworks?
Yeah.
It's not a heck of a whole lot you can do. And that's a misdemeanor.
Yeah. So there you go.
I would like to see them tackle the beach because, in all my time as the police chief, the beach is under siege. Yeah. If it's low tide, forget about it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just out of control.
The 9 years I lived in the Shores in the DiMucci Towers, I was on the 14th floor, and it was like they were like ground zero, and a lot of them, and all night long. And then you think about the cleanup the next day, which is why volunteers, I guess, are lining up to Friday. They're going to clean up the beach. Thank goodness.
I mean, when you go to buy the fireworks, they say, "Oh, you're not going to set these off." Oh no, but I got a shopping cart full of whatever. Yeah. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's an unenforceable law. And again, on one hand, they're telling you it's illegal. On the other hand, they're allowing itinerant vendors to come and pop up tents and sell millions and millions of dollars worth of fireworks.
Wasn't the way they got around it for a while was they said that they would use them to scare away crows or something?
That under the agriculture part of the law, yes. Agriculture purposes, you can use them. I mean, the airport sets off stuff to clear the birds off when a plane's coming in.
That's true.
So there are legitimate reasons for it. But, everybody, the legislature's talking out of both sides of their mouth. On one way, it's illegal. On the other way, you turn around and say, oh, itinerant vending, come on in, sell hundreds, millions and millions of dollars worth of fireworks. But you're only using for agriculture purposes, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah. We're going to allow folks to jump in with their questions at 239-0033. And one of our most popular segments, True Story. I'm not saying it to flatter you, but the fact is we look at how many people listen to the interviews off the air. It's you and Costa Margulis says 1 and 2 where people go back and listen. It's just
so do I at least get a baseball hat that says that?
Yeah. I think that's coming. Started July 1st. It's going to happen over a period of time. There's no texting while driving situation.
Yeah, I want to clarify that.
Yeah, please.
No texting and driving. You can be ticketed today for texting and driving. Hands-free driving, you can't be ticketed until January 1st, 2020. So there's a confusion. Everybody's melding the two laws together. We just put a training bulletin out on that. If a deputy sees you where a police officer sees you in Volusia County and you're texting and driving, you're going to get a ticket. First offense is
$30,
right? And then and after that it becomes a criminal cites from there.
3 points,
3 points
too?
on your license.
Yeah.
Come January 1, it's hands-free driving in school zones and construction zones. I think it is. I got to reread it again, but that doesn't take effect till you can start enforcing it in October. But it's warnings only, and then you start issuing the tickets on January 1.
So are you guys and girls writing tickets now?
If texting and driving, if they can prove it, they're going to write it.
Yeah.
They're going to write it.
And if somebody argues, can you take the phone as a law enforcement officer?
Can't seize the phone without a warrant.
No? Okay.
No.
What about
And
an accident?
You do the same procedure you would do with a blood draw. You get a search warrant for the phone, same as you would for a crash where you suspect that the driver is under the influence. You would get a warrant for a blood draw.
If you're trying to get a warrant for the phone, what's to stop that person from deleting their history?
You can seize it so they can't delete it. If you mean you just can't take it and check it without a warrant. You can seize it just like if
hold on to it.
Just like if we were going to do a search warrant on your car, we would remove you from your car and we would seize the vehicle until the search warrant came. Same thing if we were going to do a search warrant on your house and you were inside, we'd pull you out and you would stand by till the warrant came.
This is also a period in which a lot of people are having parties and cookouts. There could be drinking and driving, and we want to warn people not to do that. If an accident happens and it's suspected that person has been drinking, you can smell it. Can you, on the spot, have them do a breathalyzer, or did that change?
You can request them, but they could decline. You could request a field sobriety test. You could request blood. You could request a breathalyzer test. Unless it's a fatal crash or crash with injuries, you're going to get a warrant. If they say no, then you submit the paperwork and automatically have their driver's license suspended for, I think it's 1 year.
Wow.
So if
people,
you refuse,
pay attention.
A refusal, well, they'll never get a refusal to do it. Your driver's license is suspended for a year.
Okay. We're going to take phone calls immediately, and this is in Ormond Beach. Chris, you're on WNDB with Sheriff Mike Chitwood. Chris, go ahead.
Hello, Mark. Good afternoon, Sheriff. I have
afternoon.
a question about bicycles. At night, are they to be lit?
Yes, sir.
Do they need to have
Front and back.
front and back?
Yes,
and
sir.
if not, and you hit somebody and kill them,
That would be your defense would be you as the driver. Hey, I didn't see him and have lights on.
Okay, all right.
And the bicyclist can be ticketed as well for not having headlight and tail light.
Yeah, I drive quite a bit at night now, and have for the past 3 years, and it's just amazing how people will be covered. They'll be dressed all in black. Their bicycle's black, no lights, and
some of that's
I've come within a hair of hitting a bicycle.
Some of that is for a reason too. You know, up there in Ormond by the sea, and Ormond, where we border with the county,
Yeah.
the guy was out on a skateboard in black at night, skateboarding through the neighborhood, breaking into cars. So there's a reason for that, in some cases.
Yeah. Okay.
Have a great 4th of July.
Hey, you too, and thank you for the great job you did.
Thank you. I got a lot of great help.
Thank you, Chris. Our phone number is 239-0033. Did you see your buddy Rick Staley had some pretty good news? FDLE said that crime dropped 20% up there.
Yeah, he's Rick's doing a great job up there, and and we work closely with them because a lot of our knuckleheads are his knuckleheads, and vice versa. That go back and forth. And Rick, in my opinion, Rick's the real deal. I mean, he was a long time highly decorated Orange County deputy. He was shot and wounded, in a gun battle in Orange County. So Rick does a great job. We haven't submitted our numbers yet because we're a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
So we have till the middle of this month to submit ours, and ours are just as good, if not a little bit better. And we are going to really tout the reductions in crime in Deltona over the past 3 years. We're doing a 5-year study, and Deltona is down over 20-something%.
Well, who's running this show down there for you? Do you have like a captain?
Deltona, the captain was Paul Kammer. He's on vacation. He's got a to me, if you want to be a cop or a deputy, the place to work is Deltona. And I say that for a number of reasons. Number one, it's our largest city. Number two, it has the issues that any city has. But the most important thing is that the deputies out there have overwhelming support of the city government and of the community. And I say overwhelming support. I thought we had a lot of support in Daytona Beach. when you go out there and you go to community meetings or you're out doing your thing, there overwhelmingly there's a lot of support in that community for the sheriff's office.
This week, Deltona's City Commission.
I was there.
Yeah, you were there for the first time for those metal detectors.
I was there.
Who's paying for it?
City pays for them. The city bought them. Personally, this is just me talking.
Yeah.
I think every city hall should be that way.
Yeah,
you
I agree.
Try to get in a city hall in Tampa, Miami, Orlando, Jackson. You're not getting in there without some type of security.
Correct.
So in today's day and age, I think that all city governments it would behoove them. It doesn't impede. The law says, 79.03 of the Florida statutes say you cannot carry no one is allowed, with the exception of law enforcement, to carry a firearm into a city commission meeting.
Did the mayor ask you to attend, or you just
The
decided?
mayor asked because a week before we had all the shenanigans that was going on, and
Somebody made a threat.
There was some speculation that some people may have been armed, so they decided to get the metal detectors. And I have people that screen at the courthouse all day long, so we brought 2 of them in to do the screening. And I will tell you that I'll bet you 90% of the people said thank you. And of course, you had some chuckleheads that this is an invasion of my First Amendment rights, and I should be able to access government buildings. My response was, go up to Tallahassee and see if you get in to the front door of the Capitol building to go see what's going on if you don't go through that metal detector.
There you go. Absolutely
You're not
right.
getting in. And if you fight him, you're going to get locked up. We had one guy wanted to fight, but he quickly backed down.
Are they nuts down there? I mean,
There's a small group that think that they know better than everybody else and they want to be disruptive. But the whole point of the metal detector isn't to keep anybody out but the people who are carrying a firearm. And whether you're that 10% that's against everything the government does or 90% that's for the government, we have an obligation to protect everybody, to make sure that chamber is safe, you can do the city's business and you get to speak and say what you want to say.
The governor this week issued an interesting ruling regarding the immigration problem, saying that he's going to call upon law enforcement to do more to help, I guess, curb the amount, but it wasn't specific. And as I reminded listeners, you and Craig Caprice said to me, we're not ICE. That's not our job. So what is it calling for you guys to do?
Number one, let's say this clearly. There are no sanctuary cities in the state of Florida.
Right.
Okay? Everybody tells you that. There are no sanctuary cities. So we have a sanctuary policy bill that is just about revving up the base, is all it is. Mm-hmm. But it's also revved up a lot of other things. For us, that bill means absolutely nothing because we're going to continue to do what we always did. If there's a warrant out for your arrest, no matter who you are, we're going to arrest you.
Yeah.
If ICE comes to me and says, hey, we got a warrant, we need your help serving this warrant, we're going to help ICE just like I help the FBI or the United States Marshals or Orange County or whatever. So there is no real change. We're not going to go into the fields and conduct immigration checks. We're not going to set up immigration check roadblocks. We're not going to knock on people's doors and say, are you a United States citizen? That's not our concern because, as the bill also clearly states, that if you're a victim or a witness of a crime, this does not apply to you if you're here illegally. So, and frankly, I've said this all along. When I hear the term sanctuary cities, what is a sanctuary city? Who in their right mind? Even when I go up, and I was in Pearson twice last week, and talking to the farm workers, nobody wants MS-13 in their neighborhood.
That's correct.
Whether they're here legally or not, or whatever, they don't want them. They don't want murderers. They don't want child molesters. They want them out. They want to be able to call and say, hey, this guy's an MS-13 gang member, and this is what he's doing. Just keep me out of it. Just get him out of here.
I don't even know if most people think about MS-13. I know we do, but I think the average citizen's just wondering, how many of the guys that are doing the roofing on that house have green cards? That's what I'm wondering, and that's the responsibility of the employer of that company to make sure.
Not only that, it's the responsibility of the homeowner. I just learned this. We did
kidding.
Last year we did a first ever unlicensed contractor sting, and I think this goes right into hurricane season. You hire Chitwood Roofing. I show up on your doorstep, and I have 7 undocumented people working for me. One of them falls off the roof and breaks his neck. Guess who's liable for his medical bills?
You're kidding.
You, the homeowner.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
You, the homeowner. So, we're going to put out a whole big educational thing because we're seeing these scams with tree scammers.
Yeah.
Go to DB, what is it, DBPR, DRPR, whatever it is, the department that regulates that.
Yes.
Put the name of your company in that you're looking for, and you'll see if they have a legitimate license. When somebody pulls up to your house, on the side of their truck, they're supposed to have their name, contact information,
And
their
contract
license
Yeah.
number, so that you could pull up what kind of license they have. There's all kind of specific licenses that go with contractors, plumbers, roofers. So you really have to do your homework, because you could lose your house.
Right.
If one of these guys, even if the guy's not undocumented, even if the guy just is working and falls off, because if this guy's not a registered, he's not paying into workers' compensation laws. It is a tangled mess when you get into it.
So let us tell the audience right away, friends. SB Tree Service and Florida's tree surgeons, they're both licensed, insured, and they're registered with the state of Florida.
That's all you need to know.
Get your thoughts on this. This is a tough one, and not to put anybody sideways, but when sheriff's deputies work very, very hard on a case and they make some kind of an agreement that avoids punishment, jail time, and stuff, does that affect the rank and file? Do the deputies, like, what's the use? Do you have to buck them up?
Yeah, it's human nature. You pour your heart and soul into an investigation. And, again, you're only one part of the cog of the criminal justice cog. You have the defense attorney, the prosecutor, and you have a judge. And then you'll see some of these rulings come down and you scratch your head. But, the men and women of the sheriff's office are professionals, and they know, okay, even though we took a hit here, we're going to continue to go out and do what we do. And we do best. And our job is to provide the facts and circumstances of what happened as best as we can determine them, and then to let the judge, who's the trier of the facts, or the jury who makes a decision, make their decision. And that's what's great about our system of justice. It's imperfect in every way possible, and it's imperfect for a reason.
Well, I thought of you guys when I saw the story of the DeBerry man charged with murder who pleads, gets 5 years for a woman's fentanyl death.
Yeah, he's our second conviction. And again, in all fairness, we have 5 overdose death cases. We've locked up 5 people we charge with murder. All 5, the circumstances are different. Last week, we got a guy sentenced to 15 years. So there's different things. There's different reasons why. I would like to see every one of these scumbags charged and sentenced with life, because it's a murder charge, and you knew what you were selling. But when you look at the science behind it, because you have to link the drugs that were purchased to the death, then we have to get there and be able to conclusively prove that person sold to that person. So there's a whole big thing that goes with that. It's not cut and dry.
Kathleen is on a cell phone for Sheriff Mike Chitwood. Kathleen, good afternoon. You're next on WNDB. Hello.
Hi, Sheriff Chitwood. I have a question. I'm probably sure it's off your topic, but I listened to you back in March, and you had mentioned that you can have a vessel removed. I believe it was a grant program, or just to sign the title over to. Is this program still available, and how do I accomplish this?
No, we didn't remove. There was grant money out there a while ago about a vessel being removed. There was monies that the county and the city were using to remove it. That's not there anymore, to the best of my knowledge. The best bet is to contact the Coast Guard and see where they're going to go from there.
Okay, so the Coast Guard would have some information for me to get this removed.
Right. When I was in Daytona after one of the hurricanes, the city debated taking charge of removing the derelict vessels, the sunken vessels, and financially could not do that. It would just cost way, way too much money to have somebody come in. I'm going to use a wrecker company, for lack of a better term, to come in and get the boat out of there.
The wrecker companies are like $18,000.
Exactly.
Which is for a person that works for a living, doesn't have that set aside for something like this.
Absolutely, and the same thing happens in this with the city. The city's like, there's 20 vessels out there that need to be removed at $20,000 a pop.
Ouch.
So yeah, exactly. I would give the Coast Guard a yell. Is probably the best way to proceed with that.
And you believe they'll be able to assist me then? Well, I thank you, Sheriff.
They'll be able to give you a lot better information than I am.
Okay, but you didn't say this back months ago, that sign it over and they'll take it away?
If it was your boat, you may have. I don't remember what I said.
I see. Okay.
I forget what the question was, but there's a way to do it, but the only way I'm familiar is it costs a ton of money to get those things out of there, and who pays for it is the question.
Will the grant be reinstated in the beginning of the year?
I don't know. I don't know whether that money came from the state of Florida or whether that money came from the federal government.
I think it's a state issue, and I think I know who has the answer to that. I think it's Tom Leake. State Representative Tom Leake might be able to help you.
Okay, and Tom Leake is with which department?
He's a state representative.
He's our state representative for our area.
Jeez, I apologize.
No, it's okay.
Don't apologize to him. Don't apologize to us.
You could check in with him. You could check in with him, but I'll also be in touch with Congressman Waltz, Kathleen, and I'll see if I can come up with something there too.
All right, then.
Have a great 4th of July.
Thank you. Okay. Our phone number is 239-0033, and if you want to send us email, you can. mark@markberniershow.com. This is really an animal control issue, but it caught my attention because an arrest was involved. The city of Deltona's animal control arrested a couple, subjected 26 animals to torture by forcing them to live in cages with overflowing feces, bugs in their water, dirty water, bad food, and a flea infestation that led to upper respiratory disease. They arrested Leroy Kelly and Elizabeth Kelly, 58 and 57, respectively. Both were released the same day on a $2,500 bail from the branch jail. Is this a situation where sheriff's deputies would actually execute the arrest?
We would assist animal control in whatever they needed in their investigation. See, now here's what you just talked about. Working hard and whatever. Yeah. The penalty for them is they should be sentenced to sit in those cages.
Yeah.
And develop upper respiratory problems and do earth instead of being released on $2,500 bond.
The couple were arrested on a warrant following a 2017 case where investigators responded to their home on Norwood Drive due to an overwhelming smell of feces. They said the couple subjected the animals to torture by keeping them in deplorable conditions. I agree with you. It's horrible.
I'd like to add a little class to the show today.
Oh, yes.
I mean, you're it's the 4th of July. You have a big show on Saturday.
Right.
Coming up about Thomas Jefferson and John Adams.
Right, and you've got some information.
And I would like to, change the topic and show that the sheriff's not all about law and order and chasing scumbags around. That I know of little few things here as a frustrated wannabe United States history teacher.
And I didn't know this until he said it just now that he wanted to be a history teacher. Go.
And July 4th, 1826, both Thomas Jefferson and John Adams die on the same day. And John Adams' last words were, "Thomas Jefferson still lives." He didn't know that Jefferson had died earlier in the day. That's how intense their rivalry was, that on his deathbed, Adams did not want to die first.
Wow. See
that?
He knows.
Listen, I am an idiot savant when it comes to these facts and figures. Heavy emphasis on the term idiot.
Are the folks in?
They are not.
They're not for the 4th of July.
No, I'm preparing. I had my youngest daughter was in for a week for Father's Day. Middle daughter was in last weekend for her birthday. And oldest daughter and the 3 grandkids will be in here Tuesday, and they're here for 6 weeks, I think. So the rest of my hair falls out of my head. My house gets destroyed. It's just great. American Express calls and says, leave home without it. So.
Gotcha. This is really not your concern, but you'll probably end up getting some calls on it because we have this new highway run, 95 South, where you actually take an exit to go to International Speedway or I-4. I'm worried as all get out that people are going to be confused when they come to town. We've been telling people, call your families.
I live here, and I'm confused.
Yeah.
There's times I got to get off. Now you're going up to LPGA to get off. It's like,
yeah.
So I don't know who traffic people designed that one, but
and your folks are only on that road to get from one part of the county to the other,
right? And of course, sometimes we go up there to assist FHP, or if there's a crime in progress up there, we go up there.
Our phone number is 239-0033. We're in Port Orange this time to say hi to Bob. You're next on WNDB with Sheriff Mike Chitwood.
Sheriff, I'm on a neighborhood blog where they post items of interest, to the neighborhood and things that are going on, etc. And last couple of days, there's been a guy who's posted on there who's talking about a sexual predator that lives in his neighborhood. He says that this fellow has been making really crude comments to his little girl, about 10, 11 years old. I mean, can't repeat them on the air. They're horrible. Mm-hmm. He says he's called the local police in Port Orange, and they tell him, nothing we can do about it. It's just one of those things.
Do me a favor.
That didn't.
I want to give you you had a pen. I want to give you my email address. Send me the email, and I'll send it right over to my sex crimes detectives because he had.
What's your email?
It's M.
Go ahead.
It's M. Chitwood, Chitwood,
ITWOOD
at vcso.us. So it's mchitwood at vcso.us. Send it to me. I'll ship it over to my sex crimes guys, and I'll have them look and see, is this guy registered? Who, in fact, is he?
He is. He is a registered offender.
He's registered. Okay.
They posted his his information from the website on there.
Right.
And the homeowner, he's just frustrated and the neighborhood's outraged about it. Everybody's commenting, saying, "What is going on?"
Yeah, I could pull it and see what his he's a registered sex offender. There's parameters that go with him. There's certain things he cannot do. So let me send it to me, and I'll have my sex crime guys look into it, and then we'll get somebody to get back to you.
We'll do that.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Bob. There was a story. This is really a Rick Staley question, but if it happened here, a guy, I think that sexual predators have to maintain a distance from schools and churches, right?
Right.
Places where young people
Generally,
congregate.
yes.
Generally. Well, this guy apparently was living like across the street from a church with his girlfriend, unbeknownst to a lot of people for a while. If something like this were reported to your office, deputies would show up at that house.
We,
right?
we go right out. We are the repository. You have to register with the Volusia County. If you're a sex offender, you have to register with us, not the local police department. You have to register with us. So we have the repository on all the sex offenders countywide. Now, having said that, I'll give Jerry Monahan credit, and it's an idea I stole when he was the police chief in Port Orange. He assigned every sex offender to a police officer. So that police officer's responsibility was to make unscheduled checks and fill out a report and send it in.
Wow.
We did the same thing in Daytona Beach. If you were a registered sex offender living in the city of Daytona Beach, if you were a predator, you were assigned to the detective division. If you were an offender, you were assigned to patrol. So whoever area that guy lived in, you were supposed to go by, make checks, do little things, and then fill out monthly or bi-monthly reports and send them in. Okay. We are in the process now, and probably later on this month, we're going to go out on a sexual offender roundup for probably, I think the number's up to 30 offenders now who have been in technical violations. Some of them will be serious. Some of them may be just technical violations. But we want to hammer home the point that we're looking, we're watching. So that you'll see that come out probably here in the end of July or early August, when we get everything there. Is going to do one big sweep and send the message out that this is what we're doing.
I attended a couple of hearings at the courthouse in DeLand. I've been watching a couple of cases, and I saw parole officers, or I don't know if they're called parole officers. Probation officers. And it appears that on occasion, and I'm not finding fault with anyone, that some of these people disappear, and they don't check in with their probation officer.
They disappear intentionally.
Yeah.
And I will tell you that probation and parole are grossly understaffed.
I think so.
They are. Some of their caseloads are absolutely ridiculous.
I heard
juvenile probation and parole is the same way.
I heard one person had 25 people assigned. Is that possible?
So how do you manage 25 people who are some of them are easy because they're doing what they're supposed to do, and some of them are slippery as an eel.
Yeah.
So they're moving all over. They're constantly on the move. They fail to report. By the time you do the paperwork, they report back in, and and the technical violations don't necessarily always result in a jail sentence.
Well, they finally caught this woman who had been evading her probation officer, and so is sitting in a jail cell now for 90 days. I mean, I just can't believe that there are people that think they can manipulate the system that much. Now, they come under the justice system. They don't answer to you, right? Probation officers?
Probation officers are a completely separate arm of the criminal justice system. But once you're convicted and sentenced and you completed your sentence, and if you come out on probation or parole, you go into that side of the house. Now, as the sheriff, we have moved local probation and parole under our roof in ops. So they sit in the same room as my detectives. So if they need something, they just reach over to a detective and say, hey, I'm having a hard time tracking down whatever. If we say, hey, we're about to get a warrant for Mike Chitwood for robbery, he's a parole violator, a probation violator, what can you get me? So that has worked beautifully, and we've had that relationship since I've got here. We work hand in glove because they don't have enough resources. We don't have enough resources. By us meshing together, we think we're really going after the repeat offenders, and we're able to keep our community, and I think some of our numbers reflect that, by going after it, because it's 20% of the individuals commit 80% of the crimes over and over and over again. And if you focus in like laser-like focus on those 20%, I believe you can have an impact on lowering crime.
Daytona Beach for Sheriff Chitwood and Louise. You're next on WNDB. Hello.
Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, it's okay. It's not chief, it's sheriff. Okay, I just want to.
Yeah, that's my fault. Go ahead.
He does such a wonderful job. Thank you, I wish more cities had somebody like him, and I'm proud to live in this city because the crime, is not bad. I mean, the police, them, they treat you with respect when they pull you over and different things, So I'm just happy about the policing around here. And I saw him at Juneteenth. I had a little situation, spoke to him, and he took care of the problem right away.
Oh, well, thank you, Louise. I'm glad that worked out.
Yes, it really does. And thank you so much. And like I say, I wouldn't live in another city but Daytona or Holly Hill because you do such a good job around here. Crime is down and everything is fine. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Louise. God
Very
bless you.
kind.
I have great people that work for me. That's the key to everything. You got great people. The rest falls into place.
In Ormond Beach for Sheriff Mike Chitwood. Paul, you're on WNDB. Go right ahead.
Hello, Sheriff Chitwood. I have two questions regarding, I know it's animal control, yes, but what can be done about people who put their dogs out somewhere towards midnight and then they bark all the rest of the night? And then the other has to do with the coyotes that are roaming in the neighborhoods now. What can be done?
All right, the dog problem, you need to call us so we can document that and forward that to animal control so they can conduct their investigation if they need to cite the owner for having their dogs out there, when they're barking all night long. I hear you. The coyotes is more of a fish and game and wildlife complaint that you have to go to them about. I don't know that much about wildlife, but we don't deal with the wildlife. That goes to Fish and Game.
Oh, so I'd have to put a call in to
Fish and Wildlife Commission.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
They'll tell you what to do about coyotes, and I know they do the bears and all the other stuff in the coyotes. And like I said, the barking dog, you can call us or call your city police wherever you live. They'll document that, and then they hand it off to animal control, and then there's all kind of sanctions that go with that, from fines to if they needed to confiscate the animal because it was being mistreated, they'll do that as well.
Sure, I understand. Thank you so much.
Yes,
Thank
sir. Have
you.
a great 4th of July.
So how's Amendment 10 coming along?
It's coming along. It's coming along. I mean, we're moving ahead at a steady pace. We have a consultant that came in to work for us who's a former sheriff from Charlotte County who's helping us walk through the system. We've got an HR director in place now. We have a finance director in place. There are pockets of resistance that they're not going to overcome easily. Finance does not want to play nicely with us, but we'll get there. George has been George Reckenwald has been a steady hand through this whole process. I think his greatest asset is George never looks at the glass as half empty. To him, it's always half full, and there's an opportunity here. And I think that's what he sees in Amendment 10. There's an opportunity. Instead of weeping and gnashing your teeth and punching your fist on the table and trying to reject the will of the voters, George is like, look, there's some ways here that we can streamline government and provide a better level of service. And that's what his attitude going in is. And he's an anomaly when it comes to that. But this is going to change the landscape. I don't think people realize how big this is, because the constitutional officers are now on par with county council. There is no more talking down to the Constitution. You're going to take what we give you or whatever, or, we're in charge and you're just somebody who ran for a countywide election and you don't have really anything to say. That's not going to be the case, because you're going to have a group of constitutional officers that are going to be able to influence and check and balance what goes on the other side of the table with the county council. That's why they don't want that.
How will it affect George from his position? Do they answer to him? Does he answer to them? Does he
George
have
will
control?
George will still be an employee of the county council.
Okay.
His constituency will be the county council. Now, obviously, George will also be the conduit for us for budget. If there's, obviously we all have to be on the same playing field. God forbid, and we all know what's going to happen. There's another economic downturn coming. George is going to be the one that will deal with me and Lisa, Lewis, and the clerk of the courts, and the tax collector and the property appraiser to set the tone of, hey, this is where we're headed financially. So George is going to have really the same role.
But you'll have equal power with Lisa Lewis and all the
We'll all
others,
be
right?
equal.
We'll all be equal.
And we're already discussing ways to join forces together preliminarily, because I'm the largest organization that's going to be independent.
Yeah.
And I have resources that they could piggyback off of rather than have their own resources. So, I mean, there's, Lisa Lewis is a brilliant woman. Laura Roth is a brilliant woman. Larry Bartlett is a brilliant guy. And I'm not telling
No,
them.
these are good
They're
people.
smart
They are.
individuals, and they know that when they go to do their thing, that there's certain ways we can leverage ourselves together to get the mission across, provide better level of service, and not cost the taxpayers, as Ed Kelly said, $10 million.
When they get the tax collector position in, you have a finance guy or woman, right? How does that work in terms of the collection of fines and things like that, or seized assets? Do these people interact?
I don't know how it works in the tax collector. I'd be the first one to tell you I don't know anything about it.
I just didn't know whether they'll interact with your finance person,
They could.
because there's a revenue, like a revenue division.
They could work with us. They could work with our HR. They could work with our finance people if they so choose to do.
And you're going to have your own HR person, right?
We have her now. It's going to be where we do all of our own HR work.
That's cool. So you have your HR person
We have
already
her
in
now,
place?
Molly Hudson. Yeah, George allowed us to go out because you just don't hire somebody on December 31st and tell them, you're now in charge of 1,000 employees.
Yeah.
There needs to be a transition time, and Molly needs to build her team. What is it that we need? So she's getting in there, running our HR. She's still connected with county, but she's getting everything ready for us. We're going to need our own policy and procedures. We're going to need all that stuff. Or do we just take what the county had and copy it? Same thing with finance. It's all going to fall on us. Instead of them just telling us what's going on, we're going to be in charge of every penny we spend.
When this switch happens, which is January 1st, 2021,
January 5, 2021.
will you be able to make changes within, like procedural changes or programs, or move money around? Will you be able to do that?
Yes, if I'm the sheriff. I got to get reelected first.
Yeah.
So, yes, to answer that question, yes. They give me my budget, just like they give it to Rick Staley, just like it's done in Brevard, just like it's done in Seminole, just like it's done in 65 other counties. Here's your budget. You are responsible for that budget. If you overspend, tough on you.
Yeah.
It's on you. You got to figure out what to do. But if you need to, you have extra money in overtime that will cover up another bill. You could shift over to cover up other bills or whatever. You can move the money that you have to move because it's your money. You have X number of millions of dollars, $101 million budget. You have to decide where you're going to spend it. And if you come in under budget, that's kudos to you. That's what you should be trying to do.
And right now, you have a finance person you're working with.
We have a brand new finance person.
Who is that? Can you tell me?
His name is Ma. He is from China. He came here as an exchange student and went to Wichita State. Eventually got his master's and all his degrees through there, and went to work for the city of Wichita, Kansas. Was their budget director, finance director, IT director, and eventually became the Office for Innovative and Creative Government Policies and Procedures and Technology. His youngest child is going to Florida State, and he said, hey, Florida, I could take an early retirement in Kansas. I can come here. The guy's brilliant. The guy is...
Well, lucky you.
He wrote, I'm going to screw this up. There is a management tool that is used by Fortune 500 companies to track performance and productivity. He wrote that program that it's used by a majority of Fortune 500 companies. There was a big article done on him in one of the magazines. When we were doing a Google search when he applied, and you read it, you're like, holy cow, this guy's brilliant.
That's sensational.
But the best part is he gets county. He
understands the
he
county
was immersed
culture.
in county and city finance, budget, IT. He gets it, so he knows how they run. And they're the same, whether you're in Kansas or Florida or New York. Government's government. There's really not a hell of a lot of change to it.
So, am I correct that you have an IT person too? Did you already have one?
We have. Well, Tim Jolly, who is he's another guy who's absolutely brilliant, and I don't know how he does his job because he's woefully understaffed. You just can't hire quality people there. He runs the sheriff's office section of IT because we're so big.
Okay.
You have to have that.
About the call about derelict vessel removal, the grant program, Phil was able to dig this out from Fish and Wildlife. The grant program to local governments for the removal of derelict vessels from Florida waters. The application period, 4th round period, opening applications for the bulk derelict vessel removal grant program accepted from July 1st of 2019 through August 14th of 2019. Application for the Rapid Removal Grant Program must be submitted through but no later than November 1st, 2019. Go to myfwc.com/dvgrant or call 850-617-9540. I'll keep that handy in case somebody really needed that information and wants to take part in the program. That's good to hear.
It's a good thing to post on the website.
Yeah, absolutement. So we just got a couple of minutes here before 4 o'clock. Who handles the tag reader program? Do you have a person that handles that? Or is
Yes.
that in technology? Or
No, it goes into our real-time crime center.
isn't that the future?
That is, I got to tell you,
The future
I know
is here.
It's here and now, and I'm glad to see that the cities of Port Orange, New Smyrna, and
Ormond's getting into it,
Ormond
right?
are jumping in with both feet because we started this. The city of Daytona Beach was the first city that started this. It started this when I first came. We had the serial killer, and we experimented with license plate readers on US 1.
Yeah.
And while we didn't catch the serial killer, we were catching everything else that was coming in. And we started to slowly, through Jim Chisholm's leadership, we're able to expand that program to where the city of Daytona Beach is ringed. We are now, the city of DeBarry is ringed. The city of Deltona is ringed. The city of Ponce Inlet is ringed. And everything speaks to one another. And, now Seminole's joining lines with us because we have a lot of knuckleheads that come in from Seminole. And now we're getting a heads up that they've tripped on the way in. We know what's coming our way now. And we can prepare for that. And it's, I think, I'm going to screw this number up. And in 2018, we were able to thwart or quickly apprehend 57 felony crimes in Deltona just on the tag reader.
Are you kidding?
The tag reader, that's not counting ring technology, the doorbell technology. It also is now tied in to our real-time crime center.
Yeah, I saw something that is encouraging people to be part of this ring technology thing.
You can, if you get it, when you go on and subscribe, there's a law enforcement box there that you could check. I think it costs money. I think it may be $25 a year, but that will enable us. If you're not home and your neighbor, a crime occurs, we'll be able to get into your ring video an hour before and an hour after the crime and take a look at what happened in the area. And then we know when we go to a crime scene now, the real-time crime center tells the detectives or the deputies you have 6 rings on that block, 6 ring doorbells on that block. And here are the addresses. So if you want to go door to door and see what they can do for you. So, I mean, it's here. I mean, we are all over it. And I'd like to give you a tour of the real-time crime center.
I'll be there
one day. You let me know. We'll
okay,
take Dr. Phil. Maybe you can even. I don't know if you do portable broadcast anymore.
Yeah, we do. Well.